Happy New Year, everyone!
Happy New Year!
It's us, the Tidalwave Afterwork Podcast guys. My name is Marc Maurer. This is Damiani.
Hello!
And we wish you the best of luck and all the good things for New Year 2025.
25. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year. Let's answer some questions
Let's answer some questions. Back to work.
Back to work. Back to, work as usual.
So Nico Stein is asking. Hi Nico.
Hey.
I have some budget for a home studio upgrade. I'm thinking of either buying a better preamp or a new microphone. My budget is around 1K. Which do you think will be the best upgrade?
I would probably go for microphone.
Me too.
Yeah.
Why would you? I know why I would.
I just feel like the variety of what you could better with it, depending on what you want to record or what you have, I think there's just a bigger range of improvement.
With a microphone, first of all, if you already have one, let's say, and you get another one, then you already have two. So you can record two things at the same time.
Easy answer, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing is like it's I like to say like you have never too many crayons in your crayon box, and the biggest sonic color or variety is the microphone, and if you just consider the recording chain. True. Although a preamp also has a color and has influence on the sound, it has less influence on the sound than the microphone.
Yeah.
Let's assume you have already 17 good microphones, then another preamp can also be nice, especially maybe if you only have an interface with built-in preamps, then getting one first really good outboard preamp would be a good thing. For 1K you get some 1073-ish thing, maybe not an original Neve, but some kind of how do you call this? I don't want to say rip-off.
Replica.
Some kind of a 1073 replica that will give you a lot of color and really solid sound.
Yeah, it's funny now. I think I thought too complex because if I would ask that question to myself, I would obviously buy a microphone.
Me too, but
another preamp. But it depends on what you have. Like you said, if you have 17 microphones already, then question is how much more like variety you need or want, especially depending on what you record. If you are just like a vocal producer and you just record vocals and you have 17 microphones, I think you're probably good for almost any vocal situation.
Then you probably don't even need another preamp,
yes,
nor maybe some room treatment.
Yeah.
In case you didn't think about room treatment and your room isn't treated, then invest in room treated, because that's the better microphone thing, because microphone can only pick up what you have in the room. True. And if your room sucks, then the best microphone won't help you.
Yeah, because the best microphone will record a very good version of that crappy room.
Yeah, I have had clients ask me, they wanted to improve their home recording situation and or basically get started with some home recording and making demos, but if they have keepers that they could keep it. So I said like, what microphone are you using? I really love my voice through it. And I told them, but I said, but what about your room? Yeah. So if the room is not treated and doesn't sound nicely, then a good microphone doesn't help you. Yeah. On the other hand, if your room really sounds well, then hey, an SM57 can go a long way.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. So more color possibilities with another mic, more solidity and quality. If you don't have any outboard preamp, then maybe an outboard preamp. And if you have a lot of both, then maybe room treatment or nothing at all. Save it for if you really need something or if something breaks. Just because you have budget does not necessarily mean that you need to spend it.
Yeah, true.
Hope that helps.
Thanks for the first question.
First question this year. Yeah. Thank you, Nico.
Thanks. Okay, second question for this year.
Yeah.
Comes from Nebula Base.
Hi, Nebu.
Hey, what's up? The question is, what's the best way to use EQ on synths to make them fit better in a busy mix?
Yeah, it depends on what the synth has to compete with.
Yeah. I mean, busy mix, I would, if the way it's phrased, I would imagine that maybe the mix is already dense and busy with instruments that are not synths. So maybe it's more like, additional layers. I'm thinking of, I don't know, but
A synth can be anything. It can be from a really full range pad or like from very low to very high. It can be everything.
yeah.
It could be a sine wave with one harmonic.
Yeah,
Could be anything in between. But I would rather think that it's something with a wide frequency range and it clashes with something.
I would think so too, yeah.
Cut off the bass. If you have like another bass instrument, be that an electric played bass or a bass synth, then cut off that low end so that the low end can be taken by the actual bass.
Yeah. If it's not like a high priority instrument, but it's more like a filler layer, make all the higher priority instruments big and then search for like holes and maybe just use those holes like band pass style. So the same as Patrick said, if there's already the low end full with important stuff, cut the low end and then search for like, oh, here's like, I don't know, maybe there's like a 400 dip in the mix. You can like
boost a
little bit there and find like pockets and spaces and don't think about the sound maybe as a whole sound that needs to be audible. That's the kind of thing I'm thinking about.
To go a little bit more into that direction is it's a difference if you get these tracks to mix and it is what it is, or if you think like, okay, I have preset 27 and now I'm playing this and how am I going to EQ it to put it in? Because that would be a little bit backwards, because if you are only in the recording stage and already think about EQing, then your arrangement is not so good. The pocket thing is what Marc said is whenever you add something into your arrangement, it should serve a purpose.
Yes.
So, and it's not just like, okay, let's have some synths. Yeah, but what is it supposed to do? Is it supposed to give you some high end? Well, then choose a sound that only has or mainly has a lot of high end, or just play in a higher register. And the other way around, if you need something to fill up the low mids, then choose a sound that does exactly this and maybe just play in the register to fit into the pocket that you want to fill. Yeah, so this would be number one, like only record or only play and choose the sound already so that it fits.
Yeah, only the part that is needed.
Yeah, and if it's really like you have a complex, rich sound and it's just too much, then leave space for the important stuff. Cut off some of the highs, maybe with a high cut to leave space for the cymbals. If it's clashing with the vocals, which is often a thing, you can even think about dynamic EQing, like side chaining the EQ to the vocal so that whenever the vocal is singing, that some mid-range is like ducked down on the synth to just make space when the vocal is there, and comes back to level when the vocal isn't there, so it just carves out when needed, but still stays full when the vocal is gone. Stuff like this.
Yeah, that's a good point. And maybe a last thing to add to this, always keeping in mind that a good mix is just like a great illusion oftentimes. I think we talked about this before. So sometimes you have, if you listen to a song and you think there are great synths in there and you feel like they are like enormous and big sounding, like listen to what they are actually doing and you will often realize that you get the illusion of there being like big synth arrangements, but they're actually just poking out where you really need them. Just try to listen to other productions that have similar layers and really try to pinpoint what are you actually listening. Is it actually that big, or is it just like
the combination with other instruments
the
that gives you the impression of big synths, but it's actually like just interacting with other sounds and giving the impression of more than it actually is.
Yeah, exactly.
So arrangement is key, and then adjust your EQ to fit into the arrangement. Find the pockets and remove where it's just crowding up something more important.
Yes.
I think that sums it up.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thanks.
We've got a question from returning question asker Stephen Edmonds. Hi, Stephen.
Hey, Stephen, what's up?
How do you deal with musicians who record with you, but also have tracks they make at home for the song? An example would be keys, samples, and drums as the music bed, but then come to you to record the guitars and vocals. I would assume you would put the tracks into Pro Tools for playback, but some professional insight to that would be really interesting. So a mix of homemade instruments and ingredients, and only going to the studio to record basically what you can't do at home.
Yeah.
It's basically easy. If whatever you bring to the table is great, why replace it?
Yeah.
Of course, you can just take this as a starting point, and then record what you plan to record, and then see. Sometimes you feel like, okay, I get what you were doing with the drums, but I think I will replace this and that. Or maybe, we come to the idea that we would be nice to re-record something, or just use what has been used.
Yeah.
Or even say, okay, I got what you wanted to do, and if you don't want to redo it at the studio because maybe of budget or time constraints, then you can also give like pointers like, okay, I get this, but maybe if you go home, check again this and that and that, and redo certain elements so that it's nicer to work with in the mix.
Yeah.
But basically, there is absolutely zero issue with bringing pre-recorded tracks and work with them.
Yep.
Even one step further, sometimes even when I do full band recording, like bass, drums, guitars, vocals, everything, I love it when people bring in their scratch tracks. So like guide tracks, because even if we record everything, maybe we don't record everything at once. So when time has come to track drums, and you have like guide tracks for all the instruments, so you don't need to have the musicians play at the same time. You just use the home recorded guide tracks for the drummer to play along with. And then you go and replace all the rest step by step.
Yep.
There are so many ways, but definitely no need to just discard pre-recorded tracks or redo everything. If it's well done, it's well done. And if it serves the purpose, then let's just use it. No worries.
Yeah, totally. A lot of times I feel like the home recorded stuff, even when it's like quirky and weird and not perfect sounding or good sounding,
it has an attitude.
Yeah, it has an attitude that is hard to replicate. So that's maybe just the... Yeah,
and the musicians at home, I guess you had like an intention, or you had like something in mind when you were using those sounds. Otherwise, you would have used something differently. Yeah.
Totally.
So making a hybrid thing we do this every day, basically. So there's no worries with this. And Oh, just another tiny little thing is, if you plan doing something, just send it up front. Don't bring it the day of the session.
Good point.
Because I can load it into a session, check if everything is good, everything matches, everything is aligned properly, so that we are not troubleshooting when it's time to actually work.
Yeah, it also helps you or the client to be comfortable before coming to the studio.
Yeah.
Because okay, my drums are fine. Okay, the bass is fine. Okay, probably we have to re-record this. But you have like this safety feeling of, okay, it's approved.
Good preparation is key here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Steven. Thanks for the question.
Thanks.
And I hope that helps.
question here from Omar Khalidi. Omar?
Hi, Omar.
Hi. And the question is, I recently started using volume automation in my mixes and I'm super happy with the impact it can have on a song. That's great. I know you can also automate plugin parameters, but I don't really know where to start and maybe need some inspiration. Do you have some examples of what kind of things you would tend to automate in a mix?
That's an actually really good question.
Yeah,
you know what? The first thing that comes to my mind is when, like 20 years ago, I had the bad habit of putting all parameters of every plugin in automation mode and write automation onto every parameter possible.
Wow.
I have no real idea anymore why I did this. Maybe just in case I want to tweak something.
Yeah.
But it is a bad idea in that sense that if you open up your automation list or something, then you just don't know what's going on anymore.
Yeah.
But automating plugins is a great way to give a mix good dynamics.
Yeah.
EQs that are automated are great. Just a quick example is like you have a drum set that is playing and you want the bass drum in the verses, for example, to be a little bit softer than in the chorus where everything is hitting harder. So I do this all the time, that I have like a soft bell EQ where I remove a tiny bit of the kick of the bass drum, so the higher frequency range, or even like a transient EQ where I remove the attack portion of a kick in the verses, so to make it a little bit softer. And this applies only to the softer part, and when the chorus comes, or the louder hitting part, then I remove that automation or boost the kick or whatever. Yeah. So this is like an example of a way to enhance dynamics in a song by using a very simple EQ automation.
Yep. I was thinking, which is more general thing, if you don't do it already, everything that you have in parallel, like your effects and stuff, obviously is just just if you haven't thought about that. And not only the volume of those effects, but also the parameters. So think of like a parallel compressor or something, or just stuff like maybe you have
a delay
throw, or you have a delay throw, or you just have like a steady something, whatever, quarter or a ping pong delay. And maybe in the chorus, because it gets more dense, you want to lengthen the feedback or something like that to make it all more obvious, because as soon as the music gets denser, there's normally more leeway to go more extreme with like effects.
Yes.
Because the guitars, whatever, they just eat up your effects. So this would be another thing. What I do a lot is saturation on vocals. So the same as you said with like a kick drum or something, I have like less. If I don't have it on a separate track, yes. Maybe if it's a song where the same vocal track works in the verse and the chorus, let's say, you could just automate like some saturation portion of your signal chain.
The good thing about automating a parameter for one section versus using a complete new track with all the plugins with a different setting is you save resource.
Yep.
So you only basically use one track loaded with whatever plugins instead of 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah.
Although I must say that I often do this, like I split up the vocals then for verse and chorus, because they have a little different treatment. But It really depends. Sometimes like for this little part, and then you have the radio effect and stuff. So you make a quick automation where you put like a higher and a low cut on the vocal for that little extra thing.
Yeah.
Go crazy with automation. Automation is really it's a weapon.
Automate, it's really powerful.
Whatever you want to automate.
Another thing that just came to my mind is also that the difference being between creating a new track is that you can actually write it and do like gradual things, which is also cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if you want to go really extreme, let's take the saturation example, just as any example. You can actually write that. You don't have to be like saturation off on, or you can, if there's like a long fill in where instruments are swelling up or something, you can actually like really turn the saturation more. So
exaggerate
that's
the
something,
emotional impact on certain parts.
That's something you cannot do if you split tracks or have just like blocky automation. So that's another thing I really
Absolutely,
like.
yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Automation is key to bring the two aspects, bring life into the mix, because things that change just keep the listener attracted to the song. It's just all the time something slightly different happening.
Yep.
That's one thing. And the other thing is to even out stuff, because sometimes, let's say you have a very dynamic vocal and you put on a compressor and the compressor is working really fine 90% of the time, but sometimes there is that loud peak, or sometimes there's a part that's a little bit too quiet. And if you then go in and maybe adjust, automate the threshold of the compressor, the ratio of the compressor, or the volume going into the compressor maybe, or you change the EQ of that part that is going into the compressor, stuff like this, so that you can even out the performance of certain elements in the mix, can be really, really helpful.
Yeah, and maybe a last thing, if you are questioning for yourself like where to start or how to think about it, maybe if there's just something in your mix where you feel like I would like to change this or that in just a certain section, and then ask yourself which parameter would it be when you would have a new track, and then ask yourself, can I just do that on the same track? And gradually then try it. Yeah. Just have like an intention of what the result will be, and then I think you can answer your own question, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if anybody has the wish for us to go more in depth with any of these things, so let us know in the comments, and we will happily do it.
Yes. Cool.
So thanks for the question. It was a great one.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, if you like this channel, consider subscribing if you haven't yet. Leave us a comment and tell a friend about it. Thanks.
Next question is from Miguel Guzman.
Hey,
Hi, Miguel. How to help musicians that struggle with pressure in the studio? Many musicians struggle when they come to the studio, and when actually the recording button is hit, then they underperform.
Yeah. If I record a singer and I feel like I know, maybe I even know the singer, and I know he's not doing the best of his abilities, and I feel that he's kind of nervous and shaky. And what I have a lot of success with is pointing out things to them between takes that seem like they have nothing to do with the actual performance. Like, you know, it's like changing their focus in their mind. It's like, I try to give an example. The singer is singing and he constantly sings a note too flat that I know he can reach. But for some reason he's so focused on that note. And then instead of saying, because that never helps, like, just sing higher, please sing the note higher, which obviously doesn't work, I sometimes try to make them focus on something completely different where there isn't a problem. For example, maybe the timing is great, but they don't get that note. Then I just pretend sometimes and be like, watch the timing a little bit. Watch your timing a little bit. Because for the next take, they won't focus on that one note, and it will work better. You know, I try to shift the focus somewhere where they're feeling like, really? But then they focus on that thing, and then they can't focus on the problem area, which then puts all the pressure away, and all of a sudden they hit the note.
Relieving pressure is great. Yeah. You know what this reminds me of? I have a friend of mine who is a very good photographer, and he once asked me if he could take a portrait of me just for fun. And I was like, I don't like cameras and stuff. This was before all the YouTube stuff. And I really felt uncomfortable. And he used like an old trick that photographers seem to use. They give you an accessory. He said, would you like to wear this hat? Or would you like to have like a scarf or something like this? So, and I said, like, I don't know why something, but he kept me from thinking about that we are making photos. But so it's the same thing. It's like working with distraction.
Yeah.
Sometimes I use warm-up takes to really record them. This is like they think what is going to happen is going to happen later, so they are more relaxed. It's like, okay, let's do 2 or 3 warm-up rounds.
Yeah.
And never not record. So always record those warm-up takes, because oftentimes there is a lot of good stuff in there. Because especially singers who are very what do you say, exposed to this mental pressure thing, because all they have is like their voice, and their body is their instrument. So, and if you are like in under tension, then you don't perform best. So, and then it's like, okay, we are not even recording. Let's just do a couple of warm-up takes, and then they sing completely freely because it doesn't matter. We are still not recording. The same applies to, we already made like 73 takes and compiled everything together, and then it's like, okay, we're completely safe. Now let's do one or two fun takes, just to see if something magic happens. And you will see that very often those takes will be keepers. Yeah. Because it's just like, okay, we are safe. Great. Now we just do a take for fun. Yeah. And those are great oftentimes.
It's really crazy what the mental state does to our actions. It's
I have maybe like a final thing that is underestimated a ton. This is like, create an environment that fits the performance that has to be created. I had like a duo of two women who were like a performing duo, and they were used to only play on stage. Mm-hmm. So, and they were like, studio. We are so used to have like bright,
blinding lights,
like the stage feeling. I said, no worries, and I went to the workshop, and I got out 2 500-watt. Like, how do you call those? Like high beams, like construction lamps, and I pointed them right at their faces. We're like, "Oh, this is great!" And we used those. It was an expensive electricity bill, but it was well worth it. They were feeling like on stage, and just felt really great with it. Yeah. So sometimes just creating the right mood is really, really important. So how could you possibly sing about something if the conditions in which you are singing this are complete mismatch to what you are expressing?
It's tough.
Yeah. Little bonus tip, like another little,
go for it.
Oftentimes time pressure is a big problem. So what I usually do is book more time than we probably need. Yeah. And funny enough, if people have more time to record what they have to do, they will be quicker. Yeah. Let's assume you think you need 1 day to record whatever. So if you know you only have that 1 day and you will need the whole day, then you feel under pressure and you will underperform. Yeah. Not everybody, but many people will do. If you say, hey, let's take 2 days. If we just use one, great. If we need 2, great. And you will see that they will do it in 3/4 of a day because they're just so relaxed. You have time, you have no pressure, and it will work.
Totally.
So psychology, and just do whatever you can to relax the artist and don't put them under pressure, and that will help a great deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, was a great question. Thank you.
Cool.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.